Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into a really um, quite a remarkable personal journey. It's documented in the book What Doesn't Kill You: The Highs, Lows, and Unexpected Gifts of Surviving Cancer by Rachel Haynes.
Yeah, and what's so striking about it, I think, is how she takes us beyond just, the physical fight. She really delves into the psychological side of survival. It's this whole unseen landscape.
Right, complex is the word. So, our mission for you today is really to pull out those powerful lessons. Things about resilience, healing, finding purpose, the unexpected gifts even that come out of this incredibly honest story.
hmm And hopefully offer some insights for, well, for anyone facing those big life-altering challenges.
Definitely. So let's start at the beginning. The story opens, kind of ironically, at Cancer Research UK's Race for Life in June 2011.
Mm.
What was going on for her then?
Well, she describes running this race, even though she's in pain, sort of sandwiched between her daughter, who was 11, and her mom, who was 65. And she reflects on this idea that humanity is sort of split, believing either it will never happen to me or everything always happens to me.
That rings true.
Yeah, and she'd actually been doing that race for 3 years already in memory of her aunt, who died from bowel cancer too.
Mm.
But, she didn't really connect her own pain to anything serious until after the race.
It shows how easy it is to ignore things, doesn't it?
It really does. Overlook those warning signs.
And then from that point, things moved incredibly fast for her, didn't they? The diagnosis.
Oh, unbelievably fast. The speed from diagnosis to her first major surgery was, well, it was just a matter of hours.
Hours. Wow.
Yeah, she talks about meeting the surgeon, who she calls Mr. Gutful, kind of humorously.
Yeah, okay.
And she says her brain just shut down.
Huh?
Pure shock. She felt totally unprepared for how big it all was, the scale of the cancer.
I can only imagine. And Mr. Gutful, her surgeon, he had a specific reason for being so direct, right?
He did. He apparently told her daughter later that, patients at that stage, they're desperate for reassurance that things will be okay, that their life will turn around.
Hmm.
But he felt if he wasn't totally clear, if he tried to sort of soften the blow too much, it would just cause problems later. Come back to bite me, was his phrase, apparently.
So, brutal honesty as a form of maybe difficult compassion.
Exactly. Jarring, but clear. No false hope.
And then came the treatment, the gauntlet, as you said. It sounds absolutely intense. What stands out?
Well, there are these vivid details, like before the colonoscopy, having to drink gallons of this bowel preparation gunk, as she calls it.
Sounds unpleasant.
Right. And then the MRI scan. Claustrophobic, an injection, headphones playing this awful charity shop reject music,
Oh, dear.
and being asked constantly for like 45 minutes to hold her breath for 40 seconds.
40 seconds. Repeatedly. That sounds like torture.
It really does. It's those slightly absurd, uncomfortable details in these high-stress moments that stick.
Yeah, absolutely. And the liver surgery. There was something about the drive there.
Yeah, the drive to Oxford for the liver resection. It was already tense, obviously. But then the radio announced that Steve Jobs had died of cancer that same night.
Oh, no. That must have just amplified the fear.
Totally. And her liver surgeon, Mr. Right Liverman, as she called him, was very calm explaining the risks. Things like bleeding to death or being, quote, sliced open like a fresh loaf of bread.
Good grief.
Apparently, he was smiling when he said it. She did note the liver pain itself was less than the bowel surgery, thanks to morphine. But some nursing care moments were less than ideal. Like being told to throw a water jug at the door for help.
You couldn't make it up sometimes. And
Yeah.
beyond the surgeries, chemotherapy, that brought a whole different set of challenges.
It really did. She said chemo just cranked up the feeling of crapness, but without any predictable pattern. That made it really hard.
Unpredictable is tough.
Yeah. And the side effects sound quite visceral. Red ants running down my back, she described. An unnerving experience of my throat closing up. Painful tingling, peripheral neuropathy. Like a botched batch of Botox feeling on her face.
Wow.
And needing to basically mummify herself in scarves and gloves before going out in the cold to stop nerve spasms.
So, unlike surgery with a clear beginning and end, chemo was just this ongoing, unpredictable drain.
Exactly. That's how she framed it. Surgery was intense but finite.
Yeah.
Chemo was just this lingering cloud.
And amidst all this physical hardship, she also talked about the language people used around her, those clichés.
Oh, yes. She really takes aim at what she calls toxic positivity, especially that phrase, stay positive.
Right, everyone's heard that.
She said it started to feel like an accusation or even a demand. And she makes this really strong point. I have never yet met any cancer patient who enjoyed being told to be positive.
That hits hard. It's so true.
Yeah. And other things like you could get hit by a bus, or cancer picked the wrong person, or what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well-meaning, maybe, but
But often not helpful. It makes you think about what real empathy looks like, doesn't it? Beyond just platitudes.
definitely. It's about listening, not just cheerleading.
But through all this, her family were her rock, right? Her first line of defense.
Absolutely crucial. Her dad, who she calls Super Dad, a retired accountant, he literally researched and flew to Budapest
Budapest. Why?
to buy some specific medicine for her that was way cheaper there. He didn't even leave the airport. Met someone who met someone.
Yeah,
Just incredible dedication.
that's amazing parental love right there.
It is. And she also talks about telling her kids, Joseph and Lois, taking them upstairs to her bedroom, knowing it was the hardest thing I would ever have to do.
How did she handle that?
She chose gradual disclosure, trying to protect them. Joseph's immediate reaction was just heartbreakingly honest. If you got cancer, I would die.
Oh, gosh. Kids just say it, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Raw emotion.
So the physical battle was immense, but then she talks about this other kind of survival, the psychological terrain, the wake-up call idea. Did that last for her?
That's a really interesting point she makes. The initial wake-up call after the first diagnosis, that sense of urgency and clarity, it faded.
Right. Life creeps back in.
Exactly. And then, after her second diagnosis, she started questioning how long wake-up calls last. She realized she didn't have a roadmap for what she calls unexpected survival.
Unexpected survival. That's a powerful phrase. Like, this is new territory for many patients now.
Precisely. Surviving isn't just the end point. It's the start of something else, something complex and uncertain.
And remission. It wasn't just relief, was it? She talks about a messy legacy.
Yeah, emotionally very messy. She describes swinging wildly between numbness and this intense hyper-aliveness, full of excitement, and then crashing into these deep, sobbing sadness spells.
That sounds exhausting.
It does. And it led to what she recognized as survivor's guilt.
Ah, right. Feeling like you have to justify being okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which pushed her to jump back into life at 100 miles an hour, trying to make up for lost time, for her absence at work and home.
And the fear. That didn't just disappear with remission, did it?
That's not-
Anxiety.
No, not at all. That shadow of fear sounds incredibly persistent. She talks about anxiety, obviously, but also this deep mistrust of her own body that developed.
Understandable.
And she says something quite provocative, that she still can't really say she's beaten it. She compares it to claiming you're a musician when you've only learned chopsticks.
That's a stark comparison. It really shows the ongoing uncertainty.
It does. And she even developed this coping mechanism, pre-worrying. She didn't see it as being daft, but as a way to prepare for the possibility of bad news, a kind of mental rehearsal.
A form of self-protection, maybe?
That's how she saw it. Not pessimism, but self-preservation in the face of potential trauma.
And her kids. Their reactions continued to evolve, too, didn't they? How did Joseph and Lois navigate all this long-term?
Yeah, their paths were really different. Joseph, after that initial denial and anger, became quite cleany and protective. School was tough, especially biology GCSE. Imagine learning about cells.
Oh, God, yeah. Utter hell, as she put it.
Right. Later, he actually turned to Stoic philosophy to cope. Tried to teach his mom about it, too.
Interesting turn. And Lois.
Lois had more of a delayed reaction. It came out later as irritable bowel issues, eating disorders, depression, and they had some appallingly awful experiences trying to get help through CMHS, the Child Mental Health Services.
Which is sadly a common story, navigating those services.
It is.
Yeah.
But Rachel came to this really profound conclusion about it all, that facing death has weakened and strengthened my family and myself in equal measure.
Wow. That captures the complexity, doesn't it? The damage and the growth intertwined.
Perfectly.
And personally, she struggled with sharing her fears, right? That internal voice telling her not to burden people.
Yes, she really details that internal monologue. Shut up, Rachel. You're being boring. People are fed up. That fear of wearing out people's sympathy.
So common, I think.
Very. But she had a breakthrough. She realized that actually expressing vulnerability, letting people see the cracks, allows this super heart-sized, slightly more damaged version of you to emerge, a more authentic you.
That's a beautiful way to put it. A more damaged, but maybe bigger, truer self.
Exactly. A vital step in healing, it seems.
Alongside the conventional medicine, she also explored other paths, didn't she? Complementary therapies.
She did. She was quite open. She tried Reiki, for instance, had this quite funny session completely disrupted by family chaos, dogs barking, doorbells, her son blasting music.
So much for relaxation.
Right. But the therapist just calmly said the Reiki would still do its work regardless, which is interesting.
Mm. And she worked with a biologist.
Yeah, she collaborated with a cancer biologist, Dr. Robin Hesketh, on his blog. She said she learned more in those months than I learned in all the years I was interned at school. Really dove into the science.
That's fantastic, taking ownership of understanding it all.
Definitely. She also tried acupuncture, where she was told her ki was blocked, and moxibustion.
Moxibustion, what's that?
It involves burning these big, fat cigar-like sticks of Chinese mugwort near the acupuncture points. To stimulate blood flow, she said. Found it quite calming.
So a real mix of approaches and relationships. A new partner came into her life during this.
Yes, John. And she makes this point that cancer brutally reveals what type of partner you have.
Doesn't it just puts everything under a microscope?
It does. And John sounds like he was just incredibly supportive, holding sick bowls, celebrating good news with champagne he'd secretly stashed in the car.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then, totally unexpectedly, he proposed. Right after she got remission news, on the drive home, dropped to his knees. They'd only known each other 12 weeks.
12 weeks. Wow. Talk about intense bonding.
Right. She said he restored her faith in men. It shows how crisis can really accelerate intimacy or break it.
Absolutely. But returning to work, to corporate life after remission, that presented another set of hurdles.
Oh, definitely. The hidden cost of overwork became really clear. She was back in this high-pressure environment, unreasonable shareholder demands, feeling she had to constantly appear viable, healthy, strong.
The pressure to perform, even when you're still recovering?
Exactly. She found herself suppressing her own rising panic and feelings just to keep her job, keep the CEO happy. And she had this big realization that showing vulnerability, needing support, that empathy is not a weakness.
Such an important lesson, especially in demanding workplaces. Pushing yourself constantly was literally making her sick again.
It was a real wake-up call about self-preservation.
Okay, and this leads to something you flagged as really interesting, her focus on sleep.
Yes. This became a huge realization for her, actually reinforced by her son, Joseph, who'd read Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep.
That's a popular one.
It is. And she came to see sleep as the absolute foundation for health. Crucially, she learned that lack of sleep essentially kills stone dead your T cells.
Your natural killer cells, the ones that fight cancer.
The very ones. And then she cites this study by Dr. David Gozal. It's quite alarming. Sleep-deprived mice were injected with cancer cells.
Okay.
Over just 4 weeks, those mice showed a 200% increase in the speed and size of the cancer growth compared to well-rested mice. Lack of sleep acted like a virulent fertilizer for the cancer.
200%. That is staggering. It really hammers home how fundamental sleep is for our immune system, especially when fighting illness.
Absolutely. Not just nice to have, but critical.
So absorbing all these lessons, the physical, the mental, the practical, like sleep, how did she start to redefine her life, find a new sense of purpose?
She talks about searching for her ikigai, that Japanese concept for life's purpose, your reason for being.
Right, finding what gets you up in the morning.
Exactly. And she quotes Dan Buettner, the Blue Zones guy, saying that having a purpose can add up to 14 years to your life.
14 years. That's incredible. It really highlights the power of meaning.
Doesn't it? It's not just philosophy. It seems to have real biological impact.
And she also explored ways to actively process the trauma, right? This practice of letting go.
Yes. She describes a very intense experience with holotropic breathwork while she was in Asia, called it mind-altering, and a 10 on the intense scale.
Holotropic breathwork. That involves rapid breathing, doesn't it?
It does. And the theory she learned is that it changes your blood chemistry, less CO2, more alkaline, holds more oxygen, potentially reprogramming those deep-seated instincts around fear and survival.
Interesting. Sort of inducing a stress response to overcome it.
That seemed to be the idea. She felt it made her less fearful afterwards. She also found sound healing incredibly peaceful, 100% peace out, she said.
So through all this work, internal and external, she seemed to arrive at a new way of being, embracing contradictions.
Exactly that. She realized she could be a contradiction. She could be enthusiastically positive 1 minute, but think obsessively about the nature of my death the next. And that was okay.
Accepting the complexity.
Yes. Finding a new normal where she felt more raw, emotional, visceral, and actually learning to like it. Moving away from maybe a more stoic past self.
A more authentic feeling self.
Precisely.
And looking back after everything she endured, What were the gifts she found in all that adversity?
She emphasizes that cancer magnified the gifts already there,
Yeah.
especially the small, everyday things we take for granted.
Like what?
Like just simple early morning walks with her daughter Lois with no phones, or secret cuddles with her teenage son Joseph. Those moments of connection.
The really important stuff.
Absolutely. She concluded the most important things are the love you receive and the love you show. And letting go of control, being insanely honest, and crucially, seeing rest as medicine and not weakness.
Rest as medicine, that's powerful, especially after what she learned about sleep.
It ties it all together.
And she distilled this into a kind of recipe for a long, happy life, didn't she? Drawing on those blue zones ideas again.
She did. The key ingredients: know your purpose, have daily stress relief rituals, could be napping, praying, happy hour, whatever works.
Right.
A sense of belonging, maybe in a faith community, prioritizing loved ones, choosing your social tribe, carefully the people who support your well-being, volunteering, and again, that pure magic of sleep.
It sounds like a recipe for a deeply intentional life.
Very much so. Conscious choices about how you live and who you surround yourself with.
So, bringing this all together, what's the big takeaway from this deep dive into Rachel Haynes' story? It feels like a reminder that healing isn't just physical.
Not at all. It's truly multifaceted: body, mind, spirit, relationships, purpose. It's all connected. And connecting it to the bigger picture, I think it really underscores how vital self-compassion is.
Being kind to yourself through the messiness.
Yeah, and recalibrating what really matters.
Yeah.
Actively seeking out that purpose, that authentic connection, especially when life throws its worst at you.
And she ends the book with quite a direct challenge, doesn't she? Especially for survivors and co-survivors.
She does. A powerful call to action, really. To courageously live your own life, not some faded version of someone else's.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? What sacrifices are you, the listener, willing to make to live the life you deep down know you should be living? Something to really mull over.